Here's the stereo, which I promised to demonstrate, and I can't say it's really high fidelity. It's a Jensen. Some great music. And there's 4 speakers in here, and you can fade them front to left and back to right. Also, you'll notice there's a little voltmeter here. It's a Walmart special. That plugs into a cigarette lighter here. This is sort of our electronics cabinet where we keep, let me turn that off. Sorry. We keep our cell phones and whatnot, and there's a big outlet here for all your chargers and a 12-volt outlet if you want to charge off of 12 volts. And that's where this little voltmeter plugs into. You see a second plug here, and it's labeled running lights. If you plug this in, it turns on the camper running lights. A lot of the smart set in the campground like to put their running lights on, and I was running this wire for the marker lamp. I thought, well, what the heck, I got an extra plug there. In this little container here are some extra batteries for the remotes, and here's some of those famous dots, both chrome and white, that you'll probably need because they fall off down the road. I'm excited that people have bid up and are very interested, but just let me reemphasize, this 20-year-old camper, we do have some issues with the carpet sagging a bit, and we do have some issues with the floor sagging a bit. It's kind of hard to demonstrate that, but you will notice it. Just bid accordingly. We paid $8,000 for this camper, $83.75 15 years ago. If you pay more than that for it, I think you're being foolish. You can buy a brand new Casita. There's one for sale on the Casita Club site, factory new from the factory, for $21,900, and that's a pretty good deal. This is the Casita owner's manual. We put it into a larger binder. There's the original title. You can see there's no liens on it. It has all these instruction manuals for all the different devices, how to service it, etc., etc. Also all the receipts for everything in here, including all the tires. This thing, we get about 20 to 30,000 miles out of a set of tires on this. And the nice thing is, the one reason I've stuck with a standard tire is that they are all available in Walmart, in every Walmart across the country, usually in stock. So if you ever have a flat tire, you can get one. We've only had one blowout, and that was back in the early 2000s. There was a batch of bad Goodyear tires, and it did take out the hot water heater cover, but because this is a fiberglass camper, it didn't destroy the side of the camper the way stick-built campers do. I put a new hot water heater cover on it, eventually replaced the hot water heater, and we haven't had any tire problems since then. I've been very fond of the Goodyear ST special trailer tires. They work really well. And let's take a look outside. Before we go outside, let's take a look at these temperature sensors. Again, I have spare batteries for this. This has a little clock in it, and it's showing the temperature in to 77 and out 77. I just turned the air conditioner on a few minutes ago. We'll let it run for a while and see if that brings the temperature down. There's another temperature sensor here in the thing here. I don't know if you can read this. If you get a flashlight or something. 35 degrees in the cabinet and 4 degrees in the freezer. That's pretty cold. And again, this is on setting 2, and it goes all the way up to, I think, 7 is the coldest setting, which I made a note of with my famous label maker. Anyway, nice and cold, and chills down fairly quickly. Right now it's in electric mode, and you can also run it on gas. Here's the trailer hitch removed from the trailer. As you can see, it has a locking pin, so nobody will steal your trailer hitch. I just touched up the paint there with some black Rust-Oleum because it got kind of rusty from Alaska. You'll go through a lot of black Rust-Oleum for this camper. Somebody asked, how did you get the lights and other things into the ceiling of the camper? Because, you know, it's just fiberglass. Well, since I'm not running a Casita museum, I just drilled right into the ceiling, and the screws came out the top, and I covered them with caulk. If you want to get fancy, you can put some of these plastic dots on there and use rivets or something. I frankly didn't feel like getting fancy, but I want to disclose that before you bid. Here's the awning in the process of being removed. We're waiting on the UPS man to come and bring the new one, and we'll just slide it right in the channel here. It's not that hard to do. You stick a nail in here to keep the spring from unwinding, and then slide it out and slide the new one in. As you can see, this one, I have duct tape on it, and I'll save this if you want it, the old awning. but it kind of wore out after a period of time. I thought it originally was from the hailstorm in El Paso, but I think the vinyl on this just gets abused sitting out in the sun. Okay, the outdoor speakers are on, and unfortunately they're playing Prince. People say he's the greatest guitar player since Jimi Hendrix. I don't know what drugs they're taking. Anyway, it has a remote control here, and thank God we can press this button outside and turn it off. Oh, blessed relief. If you have the power supply on, which was replaced, I don't think I mentioned that, replaced maybe 10 years ago, it does make kind of a buzzing noise because it's a cheap power amplifier to drive these outside speakers. And even with the power supply off, sometimes you get a little bit of a hum. It's not the greatest thing in the world. You're probably just going to end up using your Bluetooth speaker anyway, but it's there. And then you can turn it on or adjust the volume or whatever. Well, that's a little better anyway. There's a courtesy outlet here with a ground fault interrupter and a 12-volt outlet there. You can run your 12-volt compressor if you need to pump up your tires. So here's the outside lights on, and these are the new marker lights, which are LED installed. Well, the new awning arrived from Shadepro, and they certainly delivered it quickly enough, and it seems to be well made. It's really not that hard to replace. You just have to, there's two screws here that screw into the plastic piece that holds the awning in. You take those out and the whole thing slides out. You just have to make sure that when you roll this out, you have to rotate it so that it lines up with this channel here. And unfortunately the pin that goes in there doesn't line up, so you have to hold it and make sure it doesn't spin around or you'll lose the spring. The only difficulty is this awning is a little shorter than the other one. I asked them to make it 8.5 feet long, and they made it 8 feet 1/2 inches. So I am calling them and asking them if they're going to replace it or what they're going to do. If that's an issue for you, then I don't mind if you cancel your bid. We'll see what they do, but at least the awning doesn't have duct tape on it, and it's a little wrinkly from coming out of the package, but it looks like it's pretty well made, and I like the colors. Anyway, that's the update. And somebody asked about the hot water heater. It is propane only. There's no electric. We did have electric stick in it once, but those don't seem to last very long. It is all manual. You have to light it with a lighter, so you always want to keep one of those little sparkers with you. And we replaced it because it was getting hard to light, and the burner assembly was like $150, and a whole new hot water heater was $200, so it was a lot easier just to buy a whole new hot water heater. And that's about it, and thanks for looking, and good luck bidding.